Hey everyone, this is Tiffany with Integral Movements with another movement session for you today. And today's movement session is building off of our movement practice from yesterday, which was a belly breathing movement practice. Here we're learning and playing with how we can take belly breathing, which is really a relaxation practice, and make it a little bit more active and still get some really good work on core stabilizers. Now I'm going to make a little side note here. I personally believe that your inner core stabilizers, and there are lots of muscles and muscle groups that contribute to core stabilization. I define core as your torso, so thoracic spine, lumbar spine, pelvis. But the four muscles we're really dealing with here in this exercise are going to be your diaphragm and your pelvic floor muscles. So they're kind of the top and the bottom of our cylinder of our torso. You've got your transverse abdominals that travel front to back. And then you've got your multifidi, which are just a group of spinal stabilizers and mobilizers that integrate the TA, the transverse abdominals, into the back body. So I think it's also important for everybody to remember that learning how to relax muscles is equally as important as how to turn muscles on. I think a lot of our fitness world has really gotten into on all the time. And then we get dysfunction because those muscles don't know how to relax and turn off. And then we're trying to stretch muscles or find that sensation of stretching, and that muscle is just going like, you've told me to turn on all the time. I don't know how to turn off. So here we're working with an idea of our muscles having kind of a dial of how much they work and learning how to both turn up the dial and turn down the dial to support the movement that we're trying to facilitate or support. So that's my spiel. Now let's get moving. So just like yesterday, you're going to need a 9-inch inflated ball and a yoga block. Setup is similar to yesterday, just some slight differences. So here, rather than having a range of where you can play with putting the ball, I want you to place the ball beneath the shoulder blades. And then with your block, rather than having the option of high setting, medium, or low, we're just going to go with medium setting or low setting. As someone who's working on growing a baby, I'm going to go with the medium setting because I don't want to strain it too much. I've already got things pulling this way. So, and this is still an exercise I would totally recommend to my prenatal moms out there, and one I very much recommend to my postnatal recovering moms who have delivered and gotten clearance from their doctors to start moving again. So from here, we just start by breathing and checking in. So it's a really great way to start a lot of your movement practices. Just see where your body is on a given day, because it changes day to day. And then do a couple of your belly breathing exercises that we did from yesterday. So just letting the belly expand forward, the ribs expand out to the side, your pelvic floor softens towards the floor as you take a full lung breath in. And as you exhale, open your mouth, and now a little bit more actively than yesterday, push the air out of your mouth. And notice what you feel moving as you a little more actively push the air out of your mouth. Inhale again. So let's just do 2 or 3 of these. Exhale out. And this time as you exhale, and notice what's happening with your ribs. Even though you're not really moving, so to speak, you feel a little flexion of the front ribs. One more time. Exhale out. Good. So we're just going to use that same breathing pattern to work our thoracic extension lifts. Bring your hands behind your head and notice for a second your neck. So a lot of us want to lift our chin up towards the ceiling or jam our chin in towards your throat. I want you to think of trying to find a neutral space for your head and neck so you feel length but softness both in the front throat and the back of the neck. And then your goal is to maintain this shape as we do these extension lifts with the thoracic spine. With your hands behind the head, on your inhale, just let the ribs expand sideways, let your belly expand forward. But as you exhale, think about closing the front ribs down to open your back ribs into the ball to lift you up. Notice the shape of my neck did not change. I'm going to keep my hand here so you can see it for a second. We inhale, Arch over the ball. Let the belly rise, the ribs expand, take your time. Exhale, ribs close. Neck shape stays the same. Inhale, back. Notice how slow I'm going. If we rush this, we get a lot more of our kind of superficial muscles, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in certain arenas, but we're trying to get deep stabilizers working. So slow is better. Exhale, close the ribs down. Now closing doesn't mean locking. We're closing the front ribs to open up the back ribs. Inhale, back. As you go up and down, notice the temptation for you to reach your head forward or to pull your head forward with your hand. Try to equally push your head and your hand into each other to keep the neck neutral. Check in with your pelvis as you're doing this. Make sure that your pelvis isn't rocking forward or backward. You're just kind of trying to keep it kind of resting. Exhale. But as you exhale, find your pelvic floor lifts. That's going to help with that pelvic stabilization. Exhale. This is one of the reasons I love this exercise for my postpartum moms, because you've got good pelvis support on the back. You're working on recreating the pelvic support on the front and the pelvic floor support on the bottom. And then exhale and reconnecting to your ribs that have definitely been spread by carrying a baby for 9 months. And last two. And inhale back. And then last one. And then back and rest. Now kind of building on that idea of our muscles working more like dials rather than on-off switches, we're going to do a chest lift. So that's working the thoracic spine. That's all this is, chest lift. Again, lengthen the front, lengthen the back, softness in the tissue, there's not strain, supporting the head here. And then we're just going to hold. So notice I'm not rounding in. I'm trying to keep pretty much a neutral spine. I'm going from supported extension to active neutral is what I'm going to call this. And then our goal is to breathe. So if we're maintaining this position, there's load on the spine. Our muscles, certain muscles need to be working just enough to support this position, but not so hard that we can't breathe completely. This is kind of stage 2 of this exercise. Also a really good core exercise. Yes, it doesn't look like you're doing a whole lot from to the outside world, but there's a lot going on. So don't let the outside world be the judge of that. Good. And again, just letting the head push back into the hands. Hands hold and support the head. 2 more breaths. And again, I'll do anywhere from 6 to 10 breaths here. So you might feel a little lift in the back ribs as you do this. It's really subtle. But again, we're not actively flexing or extending the spine. We're just opening and closing the front and back ribs tiny little bits to help support the expansion and contraction of the lungs. And then gently relax down. Good. Roll to your side. Gently come on up, let your head reconnect for a second. So as far as using this exercise for everyday reasons, I love it for everybody. I in particular love it for prenatal moms because it is a great core stabilizer you can use that's not going to exacerbate separation of your abdominals, which really is the separation of your rectus, which are those six-pack muscles. But finding kind of the deeper core stabilizers that will help hold the baby as the baby grows. Also gets into your pelvic floor muscles. And I love it again for my postpartum moms, as I've said a couple of times. So use this, everyone, prenatal, postnatal, young and old, fit and working on being fit. It is a practice for everybody. So keep moving even though we're all stuck at home. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.